Before we all move on in history, just for the record, if you defended government overreach during the so-called pandemic, you revealed who you are, a proponent of censorship, silencing, suppressing, shaming, demonizing, and violating human rights. All virtues you signaled with pride. You're a proponent of ineffective and unhealthy mask wearing, social distancing, isolation and quarantine practices, inaccurate and conflicting PCR tests, the decision to use faulty ventilators, and the release of untrialed and untested vaccines during a pandemic. You're also a proponent of mandatory vaccination under threat of losing employment. You're a proponent of fining businesses, reporting on neighbors, isolating young people into depression, nudging people towards suicide and overdose, increasing the divorce rate, doubling the incidence of child abuse, and the escalation of domestic violence. You're a proponent of bank account seizures, imprisonment of pastors, violent attacks on protesters, penalizing people for donating to Freedom Convoy, including cops, and the confiscation of personal property. You're a proponent of punishing anyone with vaccine hesitancy, including doctors, nurses, medical professionals, police officers, firemen, first responders, active military personnel, and anyone else who relied on natural immunity to fight a virus that killed less than 1% of the population. You're a proponent of keeping family from visiting grandma. You wanted old people in the nursing home to die alone. You wanted nothing but everyone to obey TV. You wanted people to suffer for disobeying social and corporate media. You applauded the FBI's infiltration of Facebook and Twitter to deplatform citizens for questioning government, the CDC, or World Health Organization. You denounced doctors Peter McCullough, Robert Malone, and other experts in immunology and virology. You smugly dismissed the use of ivermectin and its success in Mexico. In fact, you dismissed any alternative response to COVID, including that of successful nations like Sweden and most countries in Africa. You ignore facts that vaccinated people contracted COVID, that the vaccines had side effects, and that the rate of all-cause mortality has risen dramatically since 2021. You're a proponent of crippling the economy and driving people out of business. You're a proponent of locking up the border, which destroys small businesses related to the tourism industry. You're a proponent and victim of brainwashing. Groupthink is your model and mocking people is your method. You invented the term free dummy to describe free thinkers who simply questioned the official narrative. You didn't visit Freedom Convoy, therefore did not seek to understand opposing views. You did not learn firsthand about Ottawa cops working with the Freedom Convoy to park trucks downtown. This I saw firsthand. You did not come to learn about Ottawa cops calling in sick to avoid working against their will. This I know. You did not learn about cops scheduling vacation or quitting because they agreed with Freedom Convoy. This I know because it was the police who witnessed firsthand the rise in divorce, domestic violence, suicide, overdose, and child abuse. You did not see the donations of goods and food streaming in from all of your favorite stores that you likely still support to this day. You did not see firsthand the cooperation of plazas and stores, including Walmart, allowing Freedom Convoy meeting points in their parking lots, food distribution, shuttles, and bathroom facilities. And you did not see the crowds that streamed into downtown Ottawa restaurants seeking a snack, drink, or meal. Truth is, you missed out on the bonding, love, conversations, speeches, music, food, laughs, dancing, banter, camaraderie, and most of all, on the fulfillment that comes from the exercise of democracy. While stewing in anger, you allow the government and media to prevent you from expressing tolerance, patriotism, soul, goodness, conscience, and the God mind. You're a proponent of Trudeau's unnecessary, illegal, and unconstitutional declarations of the Emergencies Act and the violent removal of peaceful protesters. You are spineless, soulless, and brainless. This socialization started in grade school. Its effects revealed through mass complicity throughout the so-called pandemic. You're a proponent of free government money, not realizing that the infusion of cash would cause unparalleled inflation and later wreak havoc on the finances of all Canadians. You are a proponent of not questioning policy, of not understanding economy, and of believing in the ethics and goodness of unearned wealth. You are a proponent of ridiculing people for resisting unethical measures. By your complicity, you have revealed how weak, uncaring, approval-seeking, authority-fearing, inexperienced, trusting, naive, easily manipulated, partisan, one-sided, bigoted, intolerant, non-inclusive, unworldly, and unintelligent you are. You support the closure of churches and the disruption of one's relationship with the divine. You believe prayer has no place in school, but other forms of indoctrination do. You trust science you don't understand, yet ridicule theology you don't understand. You denounce one God for another. You believe yourself right about unproven medicine and undisprovable God. You trust the news anchor more than your sister. You're a proponent of groupthink, product of public education, and perpetuator of human rights abuses. You love fear-mongering, threatening, and name-calling while leaving the research to others. You signal virtues because you fear being different, thinking for yourself, standing alone, challenging convention, opposing popular opinion, being humiliated, or feeling rejected. In your mind, enemies are racist, sexist, Nazis, wrong. You do not admit what you do not know. You have a set of beliefs about government, corporations, economic systems, people, and opponents that you hold to be self-evident. You believe anyone who challenges these dissidents worthy of violence. Lastly, you are a follower of the highest kind, the type evil leaders love because they can count on you to do as they wish. Little of these ways of being are backed by actual science. Most of your ways of being are enabled by ignorance, and all evidence of an eerie collective cruelty.